everyone, welcome back to the channel. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun project video we're going to be back over on the longer Ray5 20 watt diode laser engraver. You can see that I already have Lightburn loaded up with today's project, if you can see the laptop there in the background with the white screen on it. And what we're going to be making today is an advertising piece, and it's going to be more laser engraving than it's actually going to be laser cutting, although there is both involved in today's project. A couple weeks ago I bought a utility file pack from Etsy. It had like 150 designs in it with like picture frames, little easels where you can display small projects, stuff like that. And one of the things that really caught my eye was a social media display sign, and that really intrigued me to where I can make something and put it out when I do live scroll saw demos. Of course, I always put some business cards out and they quickly get going and people always ask for more, and I thought this would be a great project to have where people can quickly take a photo of it to really get connected with me on all the social medias. We are in a very digital world, my friends. The file pack that I bought was around $4 or $5, that's US currency, and the very first one I made here came out great, but I did have a spelling error in it. Keep in mind, it was around 5 a.m. when I was out here working in the workshop and just wanted to quickly try the design, and this is what I came up with. Now when you load the file into Lightburn, and keep in mind Lightburn software is what I use for all the laser work over on the laser, you have this design which is round, you have the base with the tab in it or slot for the piece to be connected with, and then off to the side is all the major social media icons, and I grabbed the ones, the 5 that I mainly used, and put them on this design, put text on them and put a logo in it, and came up with this. And the laser made this in less than 30 minutes. You can see it says find the Artisan Pirate across all major social medias, and I made it plural, and I wasn't supposed to. Again, it was very early in the morning. You can see there, so I took the apostrophe off and the S on the new file we're going to do today here. I went to Clip Art and found the Calico Jack Universal Pirates Jolly Roger to show that I am a pirate, of course, and then I added again the 5 major social medias I am on. Of course, you guys know I'm primarily on Instagram and YouTube, but I do also use Facebook, the Twitter platform, which is now called X for some reason, and then the TikTok platform. And TikTok, I just throw a lot of the social media stories over to, especially little tips and tricks that I can document in maybe 30 seconds or so. But the more I looked at it, the more I wanted my actual logo in it. So I went and opened my photo editor and I dropped my logo into it. Of course, this is the banner and sticker and everything I use to promote myself. I've sent this sticker out throughout the world, and it's surprising how far this little sticker has reached. And I just wanted the Pirates Jolly Roger with the saw blade and the hammer on it on the display piece, because it advertises itself with the quote on it as well as all the social media icons. And I was worried because in the logo itself, the A in my name of Artisan Pirate bleeds into the hammer handle, and my fears were realized when I done a test file of it, and you can see you can't really read the name Artisan there. So I went back in the photo editor and I erased my name and filled in where the hammer and the saw handle is and made that. Of course, this is all I really need, so I've got this saved now to a high quality resolution in case I need it for anything else without my name and just need the Jolly Roger itself. So I took out the Calico Jack logo, dropped my logo into it, and now we have our file, as I said, loaded into Lightburn behind me. Keep in mind, we are just going to be making this portion in today's video, and we're going to be making an even better base for it. This little thin 1/4 inch base, my fear would be it would teeter-totter around, you know, especially with people maybe wanting to pick it up and take a picture to where they can really get connected with me on social media. And what I love about this is I can make it for other people as well with their logos and their social medias linked on it as well. I've got another piece of the 1/4 inch material here. We will quickly go on and pre-sand it over on the sanding station, and then we'll load it into the laser and get started. And before we get started, you can see some of the design process here, starting with the original file as it was loaded into Lightburn, and then here is the original design I came up with for the original piece. But I will drop my Artisan Pirate logo into Lightburn, and what you have to do is create a line drawing where it will trace everything for the laser software to pick up, and that's what I'm doing here. And then we can swap it out with the Calico Jack logo, and I'll delete the red cut lines for the base because we'll be making it out of thicker stock, and then we will get a preview picture of what we hope the project will look like once it's done, and we can begin prepping to go to the laser. And to do that, I will sand the 1/4" material both front and back with 180 grit Klingspor Woodworking Shop sandpaper, and I will take it over to the longer Ray5 20-watt diode laser, and I will use magnets to make sure the material doesn't move during the process, and I will frame out the design a couple times to take full advantage of the material here. And I'll turn on the GoPro and zip up the enclosure and hit start. And you guys know that typically my view when the laser is running, when I go over to look at it, is this here. The orange material here allows you to safely look into the laser while it is running to where you can check on a project, but I feel the GoPro captures the interior shots exceptionally well, and you can see how the enclosure does a great job of containing all of the smoke, dust, and fumes that the laser produces, and it pipes them out the back of the workshop, leaving the air quality in the workshop itself exceptionally well with the air filtration unit running. And obviously this footage is sped up, but I will tell you the settings I used. I used 2 sets of settings, one for engraving, which it's actually doing here, and one for cutting. For engraving, I used a speed of 3500, power of 27%, 1 pass with air assist on, and for cutting, which will release the piece in the circular shape, is speed of 300, power of 88%, and 1 pass with air assist on. And it took the 20-watt laser here around 25 to 28 minutes to do this project from start to finish. I was of course doing other stuff in the workshop. You never leave a laser unattended completely, so I was checking on it periodically while doing other work. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And when the laser gets done engraving here, it will begin doing the actual laser cutting once it's done with the quote at the top of the sign. And that's when you're really going to be able to tell how the enclosure captures all of the fumes. And again, I keep a watch on the laser while it's running, but now it's moving a lot slower, even with the footage sped up, and this is doing the laser cutting. And once it's completely done, I will leave the laser zipped up for around 5 minutes to make sure all the fumes are extracted and all of the smoke is piped out the back. But after the laser is done and 5 minutes have passed, I will come over and unzip the enclosure, and we'll get our first view of our completed engraved sign. And I'll grab a small brush and wipe off the excess soot and dust, and then we can begin going about making our base. And for the base, I just used a scrap piece of 3/4 inch pine, and I took a pencil and traced for the slot and marked how wide I wanted it, and I went ahead and drilled the pilot hole where we can cut out the slot for the tab. And over here at the Raycon table saw, we will go on and cut the base to its width, but not its length. So we are doing the ripping now, and then while I still have some material to hold on to, I will take the base over to my new router table and put a OG profile on the front and back side of it. And I'll do a few passes to make sure everything is nice and smooth. But then we can go back over to the table saw and finally cut the base to its final size. And these are just basic cross cuts. And we will do those here. And once this is done, we can do a little bit of scroll saw work by cutting out where the tab will go. So that was what the pilot hole was for, and I'm now cutting out that piece here, being as loyal as I can to the cut line. And I'll double check to make sure we have a nice tight fit with a scrap piece of that 1/4 inch material. But when I'm happy with the fit, I'll give the base some hand sanding here with various grits, and then it will be time to finally assemble the sign. And I'll use some medium grade CA glue and activator here. And even though the CA glue dries basically instantly, I'll still leave it for around 5 minutes to make sure it's completely cured. And for a finish, I gave it several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And when that dried, the project was complete. And here we have the completed social media advertising sign, laser cut primarily over on the longer Ray5 20-watt diode laser engraver, but then we went with more traditional woodworking to make a base using the table saw, scroll saw, and router table to put a nice Roman OG profile on this piece of scrap 3/4 inch pine that we used. The main bulk of this project that takes the time is engraving on the 1/4 inch material, or whatever material you decide to use. And it took, again, around 30 minutes, and then it quickly laser cut the actual shape of the sign with the tab at the bottom that goes into the slot we cut in the base, and then the Rust-Oleum clear gloss we added at the end really made everything pop. Now, of course, I left everything natural here. I didn't stain or paint anything, but you always have that option. I think a light stain on the actual engraving work, especially with the wood being so light, would add a nice splash of color, and you could use exotic or hardwoods for the base. But I'm really happy to have this. It's something I can quickly sit down in the box that I take when I go do live scroll saw demos, like up at Klingspor and places like that. As always, when I go do demos, I put out a stack of business cards and they quickly get gone. So hopefully, as well as the business cards, this can also help advertise where everybody can reach me in the social and digital world that we live in. So really neat. You can easily tell what everything is on here. Of course, at the top you have the quote, "Find the Artisan Pirate" across all major social media. You have my Jolly Roger there in the center, and then you have the two main social medias that I use and platforms that I use, with Instagram and YouTube. Of course, on the actual sticker I send out, that is the two prominent medias that I represent on the sticker, and that's the two that I'm mostly known for. But then we also have Facebook, Twitter, which is now the X platform, as well as TikTok. And for TikTok, if you guys don't have it, I just primarily goof off over on there and throw tips and tricks that I film out here in the workshop. You know, that way people that are on that platform can hopefully also see them and learn something. But again, we live in a digital age, and this is just a great little way to advertise. It doesn't take up much material. And what I like about a project like this, I can now make these for friends that also have little businesses as well. Only thing they would have to do would be send me what they want at the top, their logo, and then just tell me, of course, what social medias their business is on and everything, where people can find them. I've already made one of these for another friend, and they really like it. And keep in mind, we started with this one, and again, I did bulk up the base. I didn't want it to be able to wobble around if it was sitting on a shelf or display table with some of my scroll saw work. And the original one, as I said at the beginning, had the era where I put an apostrophe and S on the word medias. Of course, media is always plural, and I just had the standard Calico Jack Jolly Roger there. And then we had to do some research and development, so to speak. And that is one thing I'm learning over on the laser. I'm learning and testing. Every time I get a new material, I have to go do a test file. And it's not like scroll saw woodworking in any way, shape, or form. I am so versed in scroll saw woodworking, I can just put the pattern on a piece of wood, drill my pilot holes, and go to town. Here, I'm having to take my time and learn everything with the Lightburn software and the laser and how it reacts to different materials I load into it. But I imported, once again, my sticker into the software, and I wanted to do it with my name here, Artisan Pirate, with that nice font, but with the nature of the logo, with the name blended into the hammer and saw handles there, it kind of bled together and you couldn't really read it. So I took my name out of it and tried it again on a scrap piece of the same material, and of course it worked out great, and I'm really happy with how it came out. And I hope you guys liked this video. I hope I maybe showed you something new that you might not have known about a laser in this video, or you picked up a tip or trick along the way. But really cool. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you will subscribe to it and also follow me across all my social medias. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.